Hallo an alle. Today is another live German lesson, and thank you for the comments and suggestions and corrections I've received, for example, from Hans Peter. So I do realize, yes, I'm not a native speaker, and I'm also still learning German and reviewing, and this is more kind of informative, and so I'm not a native speaker. I do have to make that kind of a disclaimer here, but this is just for getting people started with their German lessons and German studies. And I know this is not perfect, but please. We last week reviewed some of the present tense conjugations for German. And so this week we're going to look at the past tense, the perfect, which is a composed tense, which is mostly used in speaking. German also has a single form, which is also a preterite form, and usually that is, I think, used in writing. But since these lessons are a little more focused on conversational usage of the language, we're going to look at the perfect form, which is, as I mentioned here, mostly used in speaking. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen so you can see some of these conjugation tables. And so last week we looked at the present tense. So we have here for the subject pronouns like ich, du, sie, sie, es, wir, ihr, sie. So sie is the formal. Technically, the z it conjugates in this third person plural, but it is kind of like it can be a singular you in that case. Okay. So we had ich spreche, ich verstehe, du sprichst, du verstehst, spricht, sie spricht, es spricht, versteht, sie versteht, es versteht, wir sprechen, wir verstehen, ihr sprecht, ihr versteht, sie sprechen, sie sprechen, sie verstehen, sie verstehen. So you don't hear a difference between sie, but it's the spelling, you know, it's she or they or you formal. So ich spreche Deutsch, ich spreche nicht Deutsch, sprichst du Deutsch, sprechen Sie Deutsch. So this would be using questions and negative and affirmative in the present with to speak, like I speak German, I don't speak German, do you speak German? And with understand, I understand German, I don't understand German, do you understand German? So ich verstehe Deutsch, ich verstehe nicht Deutsch, verstehst du Deutsch, verstehen Sie Deutsch? And these examples with handeln, so we have some variations in pronunciation and spelling. So ich handle, ich handel, ich handle, du handelst, sie, es handelt, wir handeln, ihr handelt, sie handeln. And with arbeiten, to work, ich arbeite, du arbeitest, sie, es arbeitet, wir arbeiten, ihr arbeitet, sie arbeiten. And the usage of these it kind of is like the I work or I am working. You don't have a difference in German for those two. You just have this simple form in the present. So now we're going to look at the past tense, which for speaking purposes, conversational purposes, it is the composed perfect, which is like the present perfect in English. So we need to use a conjugation of haben. So that's ich habe, du hast, sie, es hat, wir haben, ihr habt, sie haben. So then we need the past participle, which for a lot of weak verbs, you add ge, and you have a different past, like for some weak ones like handeln and arbeiten, we add a t at the end here, and we have the ge. And some irregular verbs like sprechen, we have this form like gesprochen, and verstehen, we have verstanden. So you can see some relationship in between English and German for the way certain verbs have kind of derived, and some weak and strong verbs. And what are strong in German usually are irregular in English. So we have these forms of this conjugation with haben and a past participle in German. So we have ich habe gesprochen, Ich habe verstanden. Du hast gesprochen. Du hast verstanden. Er, sie, es hat gesprochen. Er, sie, es hat verstanden. Wir haben gesprochen. Wir haben verstanden. Ihr habt gesprochen. Ihr habt verstanden. Sie haben gesprochen. Sie haben verstanden. And I have some of these the affirmative, negative, and questions here. So, ich habe gut gesprochen, like I spoke well. Ich habe nicht, sorry, there's a typo here. Ich habe nicht gut gesprochen. Hast du gut gesprochen? Haben Sie gut gesprochen? Like, did you speak well? Ich habe gut verstanden. I understood well. Ich habe nicht gut verstanden. Hast du gut verstanden? Haben Sie gut verstanden? So, did you understand well? And so, handeln and arbeiten, these are kind of the weak verbs. So these just add this GE, and the ending, the EN ending is, you take that off and you have a T here. So we have gehandelt as the past participle. So ich habe gehandelt, like I handled something. Du hast gehandelt. Er, sie, es hat gehandelt. Wir haben gehandelt. Ihr habt gehandelt. Sie haben gehandelt. And arbeiten, like I worked. Ich habe gearbeitet. Du hast gearbeitet. Er, sie, es hat gearbeitet. Wir haben gearbeitet. Ihr habt gearbeitet. Sie haben gearbeitet. Now, there are verbs in German which we have seen in other lessons today for the past tense, that the auxiliary verb is sometimes between the verb to have and sometimes it is the verb to be. And German is not an exception to that. There are verbs that do use to be as an auxiliary verb. So one example is gehen, to go. So we have ich bin gegangen, du bist gegangen, er, sie, es ist gegangen, wir sind gegangen, ihr seid gegangen, sie sind gegangen. So as opposed to Italian or French or even Russian, in those cases, we don't have a change for the past participle. It's just that one past participle form. It doesn't adapt to singular or feminine or plural. It's just that one past participle for that. And there are more examples of verbs that do use the verb sein in here. So this is from the website smartergerman.com, and this is some examples where there was a rule that's a little confusing to say that to use sein, it's an intransitive verb, and there's maybe a change of position or condition. So there are examples here from like a movement from A to B. We have gehen, laufen, rennen, joggen, wandern, klettern, fallen, steigen, fahren, reisen, fliegen, reiten, umziehen, fliehen, gleiten, kommen, springen, kriechen, aufstehen, sinken, schleichen, entreten, schwimmen, einbrechen, rutschen. Those ones use our movement verbs. And then we have some other ones, geschehen, einschlafen, wachsen, sterben, aufwachen, passieren, bleiben, werden, sein, verderben. And basically these 35, but they're not complete. And plus you can have other things with other prefixes of using an, ab, auf, unter, aus, ein, mit, nach, zu, durch, vor, ter, and, but not with über or oder, verbe, but those with sein. So there's a lot of verbs that are on there, and you need to kind of memorize these little by little. But basically, the majority of verbs in German are using haben as the auxiliary verb, and these other verbs that you will need to use sein to memorize that. So as I have mentioned, if you have any comments or suggestions or corrections, please feel free to leave those with this video. I know I'm not a native speaker and I'm still learning and getting feedback from native speakers, and I appreciate that. So thank you very much for those comments and suggestions, corrections. And if you like these videos, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and there'll be more material coming up next week. Next week we'll be using some of the future verbs, so you can see this in the future, and so that'll be that. And I think that should be getting you more and more conversational as you go through these videos and the content that we have here. So thank you very much for watching, and tschüss.